Good morning, Rabbi. I go to Chodesh, Rabbi. Mazel tov, Rabbi Isai. Rabbi Isai, here we go. We're holding 6 times from the bottom of the Mehmei base. We're going through the anatomy of an animal. Fascinating stuff. Just like a human being, an animal, even a bird, has a spinal cord. Spinal cord runs in the spine. It's protected beautifully on all sides by bony material that's flexible. It transfers. Talking like I know what I'm talking about. I don't. There's a nervous system that runs from the brain and goes all the way to the tail of the animal. So, at what point of the chut hashidra of the spinal cord could you cut it and not damage the animal? So, look, this is what I worked on with Yoshi, the colors and the whole thing. This is Bein HaParashos, but I'll show you this live here. This is what I did from that. I took that and I made it into this. Geschmack. So the spinal cord goes from the head, goes all the way down, all the way to the tail. These are the parashas. These guys. This is where it starts splitting off. It splits off before, but these are the main splits. The first one occurs by the hind leg. Like 2 fingers later, there's another split and then another split. Every time it splits, it gets the spinal cord gets weaker and weaker. The first one is this blue one. You come here, obviously if you cut the spinal cord in this area, treif. But when you get to this area, the blue, this Bein HaParashos, Bein means between. Between the first parasha, and the second one. Between the 2 splits. This area is no good. Now the Gemara is going to ask right away, do I mean ad va'ad bichlal? The Gemara asks this all the time, and it gets, throws people into a frenzy. So don't worry, it only lasts for 35 seconds. It just means, does it mean up until the blue, or it's up until purple? It includes the area between, or only up until? So, Reb Eli Shmuel ad Bein HaParashos. Rav Dimi bar Yitzchak have a kaboy lemezov lebechazoi. Rav Dimi went to Bechazoi. Also came the Rav Yehuda. He saw Rav Yehuda. Omar lei. Lichli mar Bein HaParashos heicha. Could you please show me exactly the area of between the parashas? Show me on an animal. Omar lei. He says Zilai Sili Gedi. Go get me a goat, and I'll show you. Vach v'lach. So he thought, let me spend a little money. Let me do it right. Let me get a nice gezunta, as they say, a festa or a fat goat. So he brings him this nice goat. No, this is too much fat. It's hard to discern, to see the how do you say pitzul in English? The split. It's hard to see these splits where the cord splits. Now, the reason why these arrows are in the wrong direction, it was a mistake probably in terms of, I asked Yoshi to flip it because I want to get to the point here. There's a point. But that's why people might be confused a little bit. It's going this way. It's bad. We should really turn okay, fine. This is good. I see now that visually it's confusing. So he goes out to the store again. He goes and gets him a skinny one. Oh, if the fat is no good because you can't discern, you can't see it, so a skinny one you'll probably see it. No, that's also not good. We learned about the book of the Atma, that ball and the bearing. What do we call it? The ball and the socket. So the spinal cord runs down that ball and socket, and because it has no fat, it like gets squished into it. That's a word, right? You can't see it. Omerlei. So Rashi says he was in a big rush. Rav Yehuda, he needed to get out of there. Omerlei Tagmirach Gemara. Let me just tell you what I learned. Forget the visuals. Let me just tell it to you. Balpeth. Ad achas treifa. So we're going again from the head. We're going in this direction until number 1 is treifa. Up to this point, up to the blue, 100% treifa if it gets cut. Roiv. Shlishis sheira. The red one, everything behind that is kosher. Shniya iniyadeh. The second one, the purple, I don't know. Now we have to know Daf Memvav and the Aleph. Ad Bichlal. When he said up until, did he mean up until the blue line is treif, but past the blue line is a suffix, or past the blue line until the purple is actually treif 100%? He meant one. One means from the blue line all the way to the purple is all considered one. It's the one area. From purple all the way to red is the two area. From red all the way to the tail is the three area. Is that what he meant or no? Up until the red, up until purple, up until blue. Maybe it's up until the blue point is treifa, 100%. From the blue until the purple now is a suffix. From the red on is 100% kosher. And the second one I don't know. That's why I messed up and I made these funny looking arrows. Because the point is the point. When I'm coming from here, when I bump into this little point, this triangle, is this treif or not? I need to know, what about in the area of the blue? It's up until, is it including the blue? Where? Where is it 100% treif? Boy, Reb Yirmiyah, I'll ask you more. If it includes this entire area between the blue and the purple, if this is treif 100%, what about on the actual cord going up and going down? On the blue cord, is this treif or not? It says, Tashma, haparosha tidan kibasar. This, the actual blue, the actual purple, the actual red is like flesh. And if it's like flesh, it's kosher, it's not treif. She said, no. My la parosha rishaynu shniya. L'chayr is referring even to the blue and the purple, that it's kosher. Loi. What I meant that it's meat is only the third one, the red. And that we're done with the spinal cord. Ba'oifa, what about in a bird? This gets interesting. A bird also has a spinal cord. Take a look at a bird. Look at the bird. Now the reason why we're showing the wings fold is very important, because that's part of the sugya. So let's take a look at the bird again. The bird, you see, its wing is connected at one point. So one shita is at that point. Rish Lakish says, from the brain, you go from the rooster's head, you come down, and when it hits that point where the wing attaches to the body, that's where it's a treifa. Everything below that point, if you you sever the spinal cord, it's kosher. The next shita is, now look at this, I didn't know this, but obviously those who eat chicken or deal with chickens like Benny, it's pashut. It has 3 bends. It has 3 joints, this bird. Not like similar to an animal's leg. You know, it has, not like a human that we only have 2 bends, and we have the ankle, but he has like 3 serious bends over here. Take a look. And Memela, he says it's the whole. So it's until the end of the wing, the bone of the wing, not the feathers of the wing, but the bone. So until the red arrow. So you look at the spinal cord coming down the head until the red arrow. Yishma. Meaning until the red arrow. And again, if you want to argue exactly on these, this is just to the most I was able to understand it, then you might argue it's a little different, okay? Exactly the connection to the body, which is at the blue arrow. I was standing, says Ula, in front of Ben Pazi, and they brought a bird to him. They had this problem, so he checked until the joint, the blue arrow. All of a sudden, the Nasi, we had yesterday Nasi. The Nasi says, I need you, Ben Pazi, immediately. He takes the chicken, puts it down on the table, and walks out with Konvazal. He says it's a real shame. Because I don't know if it's because he was done checking. Perhaps he said, you know what, I'm in the middle of checking, but I got to go. The Nasi's calling me, I'm sorry, in the middle of checking, I'm not even going to take another 3 seconds to check the rest. I'm done. So I'll never know. Next sugya, Nitla Kavit. We learned in the Mishnah, if the liver was removed completely, it's a trait. So anybody can infer, so if a little bit of the liver remains, it's kosher. Why? Because the logic will be, it regenerates itself. It's the one body part that regenerates completely. Afagav the loy have kizayis. You don't need a full kizayis. And if this sounds familiar, it is because we already brought these mishnayos and we discussed this before. But it says that you need before in the Mishnah. It says it's an honest Mishnah. It says you need at least a kizayis left over. Oh, Rabbi Zuli Kashio, oh, Rabbi Chia, oh, Rabbi Shimon Bar Rebbe. It's a machlokes. Rabbi Chia holds that you're right, a mashu is enough. Oh, Rabbi Shimon Ben Rebbe, Bar Rebbe. Rabbi Shimon, the son of Rabbi Yudah Nasi, the son of the wealthiest man of the generation, he's as wealthy as the king, Antigonus, his best friend Antoninus, he had a lot of money. And his son, Rabbi Shimon, inherited all this money. He's a wealthy kid. He holds that to be kizayis. Why? Rabbi Chia would throw out the liver. Rabbi Shimon Rebbe mitabalo. Rabbi Shimon held that when you eat something that the animal's neshama is dependent on, we have a machlokes, is a liver something that the neshama is dependent on? Everybody knows that without a brain you can't live. Could you call a liver something that the neshama is dependent on? So he says yes, and that's why he ate it. Because when you eat something that the neshama is totally in it, then it heals you. It makes you healthy. And then mela, it needs to be at least a kizayis. The neshama tluyah, it has to be something worthy, a kizayis. But Reb Chia says no, it's garbage. You throw it out. It's not nothing, and I don't eat it. It's not the neshama tluyah, so it's a mashu. Rashi says it's dependent on that. Memela. V'simonach ashirin mekamtzin. You should know that wealthy people are stingy. Aupu musa the osel pumbediso. So the soldiers came to Pumbediso. Araku rabba v'Rav Yosef. This is a word that is everybody in Eretz Yisrael is very familiar. Arik means somebody that's running from the military. Araku rabba v'Rav Yosef. They ran away from the military. Paga behu Reb Zera. Reb Zera bumped into him. Says Taisus, Reb Zera wasn't scared. He didn't have to run away because his father worked for the king. He's in charge of the taxes. Amar lu aroikoi. So he calls them AWOLers, deserters. Amar lu aroikoi. Kizai shamru. So they're running for their life, and he throws in a stick of Torah. Kizai shamru b'mafim mara. You should just know that when we're discussing. Here's a nice healthy liver. There's the liver, and then you see the gallbladder. The gallbladder, the green guy is the gallbladder. He says, when we say that all you need is a kizayis, so first of all, he mentions kizayis. We have machlokes, kizayis or mashu. Reb Zera Paskins right now, for now, it's a kizayis. But where? It has to be attached to the gallbladder. You can't just have, here, you see the kizayis? This guy right over here is the kizayis, yeah? That kizayis, and the rest is the tarpish, is the skirt steak, the sarefet, the diaphragm, all that white. It's gone. The kidney, the liver is gone. What's left? One kizayis, but it must be attached to the gallbladder. Otherwise, it has no way to live. No, not that it's attached to the gallbladder, but look, take a look, the kidney has to be attached to the kidney on top, right over there, like that. Omar Papa, Hilkoch, being kizayis b'mokim mara, or being kizayis b'mokim shichaya, Rabboisai, it has to be both, like this. You have two kizaysim over here, you see, two little kizaysim, one is attached to the kidney, one is attached to the mara. Boy, Rabbi Yirmi mislaket mal, what if you don't have a kizayis in one place, you have a quarter kizayis up, a quarter kizayis down. Kiritzua ma'u, we have a nice picture of kiritzua. It's a sliver instead of a nice round ball. What if it's flattened like a pancake? It's a kizayis, but it's spread out and it's very thin. Does it have a chance to regenerate? Teiku. So we have to be machmer. The liver is attached to the diaphragm. And now it became loose. It's connected to the diaphragm, but like this. Let's call it something like that. Barely attached, little slightly attached here and there. So he says, Amalei, what's the big deal? Who cares? If the pshat is that you have to have a kazayis by the gallbladder. You have more than kazayis. You have the entire liver. It's not a problem that it's slightly attached. The ikir is that he has a large liver and it's great. If you say it has to be attached to the kidney, ha'ika givaldi. Hareya shenikva. So now we're moving on to the lungs. Lungs, Rabbi Isai, is what we deal with mainly today in treifus and ashgacha and mashgichim and all that. They're very busy with the lung. Hareya shenikva. Now, it happens to be that a lung has two. You're not going to know the sugya because you're schmoozing within the. A lung has. I'm repeating it for you. It has two coverings, two membranes, two. That's the sugya right now. It has two. Which one is the one that makes it treif when it is punctured? Rav Shmuel Rav Asi Damri. Krama Ilah. It's the upper one that makes it treif. V'amri lo krama tatzon. The other one say no, the bottom one. Oh, Rabbi Yosef here. We have pictures for this. All pictures. Here is the upper one. It's a little exaggerated. The bottom one looks like a bunch of ketchup on a hamburger. It's the red clothing, the Gemara calls it. It's a red layer. And this also has a hole, but hey, okay, fine. Manish geschmack. It looks very tasty. This red clothing that drapes that covers the lung, the mancha beireo that the lung is laying in. Pshita says Gemara, if the upper one had a hole like this, like this, and the bottom one doesn't have a hole, that's all a magin. Why is there a second membrane? The second membrane, the bottom one protects the lung. And how do I know? The Rava Domarava, Hayred the Iglid, Rava says that if you have a lung that you peeled off, it was peeled off, the top layer was peeled off completely, kind of sumka, like a red date. Here's a red date. Red date. Sheira. Why? This one actually has a hole, but if it didn't have a hole, that red date material protects the lung. So this is mafurish that the bottom layer is a protector. The question is, like over here you have a hole and you don't have the upper one, is that a problem or not? Magin or magin? Does the bottom one, since it doesn't have it has a hole, the bottom layer, but the top layer doesn't have a hole, is there enough protection? We'll get to the thing. Is whether or not it protects. So this is Gishmak. The halacha is that the upper one doesn't have a hole in it. It does protect. The Rabbi Yosef, why? The Rabbi Yosef, when we were kids, they don't have it anymore, I don't think. But when our bicycle, the tire used to leak air, so you take out the inner tube and you blew it up and you heard like a hissing sound. And how would you find where the hole is? You put it in water, and the smart ones would put it with a little soap, dishwashing soap, whatever. So that trick the Gemara talks about. You hear a hissing coming out of the lung. It's leaking air. If you see exactly, you know exactly where the sound is coming from. You take a feather, or roika, or spittle, or gilo. You take a piece of straw. If you see it moving, then it's a treifa. V'loik sheira mamish like this. Rabbi say, take a look. Here we go. Mark Ashkenazi. Yeah, obviously it's not him. Those who don't know, this is AI. Me and Mark Ashkenazi. If you see the feather moving, great. Then it's a treifa. V'loik sheira. And if you don't know where the sound is coming from, you take like a vat of warm water, you put it inside. I saw here in the pancheria, the Yossi's place, they have a giant vat, and they even have a machine that pushes the tire down underneath, and you can see where the bubbles are coming from. But that's more for like semi-trailers and then tractors, that kind of stuff. B'chamimi loy, but you don't use hot water, the kafti, because it shrivels up. B'kriri loy, the metarshi. You don't use cold because that stiffens it. And what happens if it stiffens? It can crack. Elo meisfinu v'shora, so you got to use warm water and you blow it up. So here we have another one. Givaldik, check this out. Mamish looks real. Great. So, even if it's a treifa, be like sheira. If it doesn't bubble, it's kosher. Tatoy inkiv. So, but if the bottom one has a hole in either loy inkiv and the upper one not, why is it kosher? Because the bottom has a hole and not the upper one. Now, what's the problem? The problem is you hear a hissing sound. So if you hear a hissing sound, l'chayra, there's a hole. Zika de beinahu. No, I'm telling you that what happened was it's like this. Here's the hole, and what you hear is the ear coming out of the lower layer, but it's protected from the upper layer. It's being trapped, and therefore the upper layer is providing protection to the lung, and that's why it is kosher. Ahini sumka gufa. Omer of a high rate the iglid. Where are we holding? Only 55 minutes, Ari. We're mamish doing well. Omer of a high rate the iglid. Kahina. Remember, we mentioned that the lung, the lung looks like, but it wasn't. It looks like a red date. Whoa. I read the English Gaina Sumka Kshera. Vamarava Reisha Dima. So if the whole thing is red, fine. Vamarava Reisha Dima. If you got a bang, and that's why it's red. Miktsasa Kshera. If it's only part of it is kosher. Kula Shreifa. But if it's a majority, the whole thing, the whole lung became red, then it's a treifa. I don't understand what you're saying. Why is a small part of it kosher? The hajrabari, because you're going to say it got a wound. You know, you get banged and you see like blood. What is it called? Is this the internal bleeding? The blood comes to the surface, doesn't puncture a bruise. So eventually, the blood is going to go back to where it came from, or whatever. Everything's going to come back to normal. So kulaname hadrabari. So if you have a wound on your entire leg, it's also going to heal. So it's on the entire lung. What's the problem? Militanya, didn't we learn? We're talking about Hilchas Shabbos now. If you're gonna cause a chavbala, injury to an animal, it's only if you cause the blood to leave the animal's body. But if it's just a bruise, you're not over. So too by a lung. You know what? Let's compare it not to that, but to a rat. And when it comes to the shmona shratzim, the toad rat, then even if the blood doesn't come out, if you could see a bruise, that's considered killing the animal. Why? Because by then, it's not going to go back to normal. The blood is stuck. It's just as if it left the body. So maybe the lung is like the shmona shratzim. That can't be. So then what's the difference? Why are you differentiating between a small amount and a large amount? By shmona shratzim, if you injure, you bruise the leg of the rat. So you're over. You did a chabal on Shabbos. You don't have to do the entire body. If you tell me that the lung is like a rat, so then even a small part also you should be over. Elamai is not like a rat, so then the whole thing shouldn't be a problem. So then what? Elalai, there is really no difference between a small amount and a large amount, and both of them are kosher. Kosher. Rabbi Sai, a guten chodesh, a guten yor. Have a wonderful day.
Merit the zchus of spreading Torah throughout the world. Sponsor a shiur today. MDYsponsor.com or sponsor at MDYDaf.com.